everybody. I'm Chad Eckert, and it's not Eric Martins, but this is the Fantasy Golf Pod. Follow us on Twitter at Fantasy Golf Pod, where you could find us each week. Cracking beers, clicking names, and tonight, the interview series continues, my friends. We've got a big name in the DFS industry. He's got it in his Twitter handle. He is DFS Golfer 23. Jason Rouslin is here. Woo! We got a real guy.
What's up, man? I mean, you've had plenty of real guys, way more realer than me on before. What beer are you cracking tonight? What's going on?
So this is a Minnesota beer. It's an Surly Furious. It's an IPA. I don't know if you're into the IPAs. Okay.
Just a local brew in Minnesota, huh?
Yep. Minneapolis guys. And we got some good breweries here in Minnesota. Where are you quarantined at the moment? We are May 11th. 2020, still sportsless. Jason is in Florida. Where in Florida are you?
So I'm just outside of Tampa, little north of Tampa, about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Disney World, roughly. So that's obviously, you can probably see all the Disney stuff around me and all that. But yeah, it's not a bad place to be quarantined. Golf courses haven't even closed around me, so I've been able to play golf the whole time, I guess.
Nice.
Courses aren't getting any better or anything like that, so.
I have yet to play because it was like 45 degrees. I mean, I'm in my garage. I'm in Minnesota. That's where you can find me. Jason, dude, you are a guy on Twitter that has some takes. You're known for some schticks. Got some brand plays.
Yeah.
You're officially actually the president of the Patrick Cantlay fan club.
That's right. That's
his fan
darn
club.
Right.
But you're also the president of, maybe unofficial president of, the Jordan Spieth fan club as well. I have you on the pod. I got to get to the origin of this Jordan Spieth love. Where's this come from? Has it changed? Has it evolved?
Yeah, you want the Spieth love first, not the Cantlay. All right.
Whatever. Either or. You're kind of, those are your two guys though, right? You're kind of.
Yeah. Okay. So Cantlay's a fun story. I think Spieth is more, we'll get to Spieth. Cantlay's quick. It's my parents moved to Tarpon Springs, which is where, let's call it Palm Harbor. It's where the Valspar is, right? So 2017, I'm working for some Minnesotans, the Fantasy Golf Insiders at the time. So a little history there. I got love from my Minnesotans up there. They did very well by me. So anyways, I'm working for them. I'm at the course covering it. It's a Tuesday afternoon. Nice little practice round. I show up because my parents live 5 minutes from Minnesota. I mean, I can hit a driver from their back porch and be somewhere on the third or fourth tee in a couple drivers. So it's close. Walk up and Peter Jacobson is standing on the fourth green and he's following this guy for a couple of holes. So this is his second tournament back. I'm talking about Cantlay. He had played Pebble a couple of weeks before. I had known him. So I follow him around, and at the end, after 9, I go up to Jake and I'm like, Jake, what's up? This guy looks unbelievable. He birdied every hole I watched. He's like, Patrick Cantlay. Gonna be a stud. I'm like, okay, sure enough. So I announced it on my little article for Fantasy Golf Insiders. He came out of 2% ownership. I had 30, and I won $0 off of it. You know, what happens when you play Gary Woodland and he misses the cut. Anyways, lo and behold, that's why I feel like I broke him in to the DFS industry, but he did that all himself.
But you got a picture with Cantlay, don't you?
Yes. So
is that a later?
Later. So that was my wife and I went out to the Tournament of Champions where Cantlay and Spieth were. So the reason why I bring my wife up is because she's the origin of the Jordan Spieth love. She crushed on Spieth when we first met, and I got her into golf. And then it just so happened that everybody hated him. I'm like, all right, well, my wife likes this guy. Everybody else hates him. I'm just going to go all in.
Dude, this is perfect for you.
I mean, it couldn't have worked out any better for me. It was perfect marriage, and I like the way he does things. I always have. On the course, there's some antics that he's
a little bit of a brat. Okay, we can say it.
It's tough to defend him all the time. But if that's the worst he is, off the course, he makes up for it for me.
I've been watching this Jordan thing on ESPN every Sunday. He's got a little Michael Jordan in him. I mean, a little bit of the anger, a little bit of the angst.
These ultra-competitive guys that have reached the top all have it to some degree. And when they don't and when they're not at the top, you can see the angst, the anger, the anxiety. I mean, we've seen it with LeBron. We've seen it with all the mega athletes at a time. We saw it with Tom Brady. He's leaving New England because of it, right? I mean, He's coming to Tampa. I mean, I just get to follow him so I'm from Rhode Island. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that, but I knew you were in the East Coast. You went to Rhode Island, some school or something, right?
URI, yep, University of Rhode Island. We made the tournament last year.
Nice.
Yeah, so Tom, obviously New England's my team up there, and now Tampa Bay's my team down here. It works out.
But back to Jordan Spieth. So
sure.
Do you think he's done? Do you think it's over? And are you then now jumping off of that bandwagon?
I think here's the nice thing about his game is it's once a year. I know he's going to be competitive. And it just happens to be the best week of the year every year for golf. So
why is he so good at Augusta? What is it? Is it something about the greens, the way he reads them? He loves the undulations. I don't know.
I think it's just it's a way for him to know he can lap the field if he's playing the best. You know, what he did in almost setting the scoring record or tying that scoring record when he was, 22, 23. So I think in the course suits him, he can't really get into trouble. There's no OB. It's just wood. And he can punch out of woods,
Right. Okay.
And the rough isn't as penal, of course. I mean, there barely is any rough at Augusta. So to answer your full question, listen, Gary Player thinks he can fix him in an hour.
Yeah, I read that, or I saw that.
What do you think about that? I mean...
So Gary Woodland had an XM interview or something, and he was talking about if he got an hour with Jordan Spieth, it's between his head and it's between his ears. It's in his head.
Yeah, the Black Knight, right, in the South Slamander Squire. He thinks he can fix him. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what do some push-ups and sit-ups. I don't know what he's going to tell him to do. I mean,
it has to be swing related, I guess. Here's the thing. He got to the pinnacle, of course, on his putting, but he was also one of the top guys in strokes gained tee to green as well. And that's what sometimes people forget. So, of course, he's got it in him, but he's lost it. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
Now, he's had 4 months off of no spotlight. Nobody knows how he's playing. Maybe this is best for him. Who knows?
I think so, too. I kind of agree. I think it'll benefit him to have this break.
Me too. I think he's 5 that it would benefit for sure.
And I mean, he's got to have a little annoyance with JT getting the spotlight now and having Tiger's right-hand man in all these team events, and he wasn't even there at the President's Cup.
I mean, how brutal of it is that video of JT and Tiger just hugging on the green after winning that match? Is that just every time Jordan sees it as a dagger?
I think it hurts him.
It's got to hurt a little bit.
Because he for sure thought he was the next one.
Yeah, he did.
But what about you, though? You've kind of been around for a long time. I've been in and out of this industry and looking around and doing, Draft Street. And when DraftKings bought Draft Street, you were there. You're always there. DFS Golfer 23. You've been kind of a presence on Twitter. Where did this come from? Have you always wanted to do this? Is it just kind of you're playing for a lot of money and for high stakes and people just kind of point you out? And so therefore you just raise your hand I guess I'm the guy. What made you the guy?
So it all started with NFL, and it was 2016. DraftKings was just starting to get really popular, I guess, and I ended up coming in 11th place in the Million Maker, so it was a decent score. I was playing 1 or 2 lineups, nothing big at all, and I made a switch. I remember I was in 26th going into the Monday night game. It was when it was the whole slate. I loved that, by the way.
I love that, too. I play that still.
Yeah, Sunday night, Monday. That was when the Million Maker was still at. I loved that. And I switched off Gronkowski in my flex to LaShawn McCoy, who was $2,100 cheaper. It was a Monday night primetime game, Patriots-Bills. And McCoy,
a little late swap, actually.
A little late swap got me all the way up into the top 15. That kind of kicked it off. I had some money then.
Okay.
So
what was the score there? Was it $20 entry or something at the same time?
$20 entry, yep.
You got a couple grand for that?
I got, I think, $4,000. Yeah, $4 or $5,000 at the time. It was a good payout back then.
So then that helps say, okay, I like what I'm doing here. They late swap. That's freaking key. We know this.
Yeah, it took a little bit of money out, and it kind of just lasted. So that was, I think it was a late game. It was January. So my bankroll lasted until the Zurich Classic, where I finally figured out about DFS golf. And I'm I love golf. I played college golf. It just kind of was all right, what's going on here? And so I went on DraftKings, saw that they had a contest, because at the time the Zurich was just a normal tournament. This was 2017. And so I put in a couple of lineups in the dog leg, with $33, I think it is, that contest. 2 lineups in it, 3 lineups, and one of them had Brian Stewart in it. And the event was a rained out, gross, sloshy event. It was a Monday finish in only 54 holes. And Brian Stewart wins it at 0.6% ownership, and I got him, and I came in second for like $35,000, something like that.
Okay.
And
is this the same year? Is this the same year as the NFL one?
Yeah, well, it 2016. It was like December, I think. So I had the hit, and then it was March or April.
Okay.
Search happened, and then the players happened, and I came in fourth on the $300, and that's when I'm like, "Hey, Fantasy Golf Insiders, guys, I want to write about this stuff."
Nice. Okay, cool.
So I just knocked on their door, and they're like, "Hey, somebody just left. Here's an article for you." That just it kind of worked out that way. I studied pros at the time, so I take like Chipotle Attic and Papa Gates and Jet Black. I'd study their lineups, and I'd tell people exactly what they're doing, how much percentage they were playing of each guy. And that was kind of my shtick every week. That's kind of how it started. Then, of course, I got the bug to try and beat them, of course. And I had a little bit of a bankroll from Brian Stewart, right? Nice. Brian Stewart, baby. So I really owed all that.
That's crazy. So then
yeah.
you've switched now. You're now writing articles for Awesemo.com. Are you providing, and you're also doing some other stuff for them, like podcasts and things? What do you do for them now? What do you provide for them?
Yeah, so I'm doing a bunch of stuff, and that is just a great story how it all came together. We all won the FanDuel Scotland trip. I don't know if you remember FanDuel had a live golf championship, and it was the Scottish Open. They flew everybody over to Scotland.
Like the Euro event?
Yeah, the Euro event. Yep.
What?
Headquartered over there. They have headquarters in Edinburgh. So they flew us all over there. We had a week in Scotland. We played 3
like a dozen guys that are like good DFS players.
Exactly. Yep.
Weird.
And Alex, Awesemo Baker, and Tom Kennedy, who's the president. They just happened to be on the trip and win it too, and we hit it off. And I was doing my own thing at the time. I was working for Tour Level, doing my own thing. After Fantasy Golf Insiders tried to run.
Well, because you had tour level fantasy for a long time.
Yes.
You still do this a little bit?
So no, I just transitioned to work with the guys at Awesemo because I had my little guy James, who's about 18 months old, and running a site and doing it all. It was a little too much to try to be a dad as well. As you know, you get two kids.
Yes. Like, are they gonna wake up at any minute?
Ruin me. So now I work over at Awesemo, and basically they kind of give me the reins. I've got a show on Wednesday nights with Ben Raza, who's an absolute stud. He's he wins in every sport he competes in. It's freaking crazy.
He's an open book too. I mean, we've had him on before, and he's told us what he knows, and he doesn't shy away from giving you advice. It's great. Which
is great on the Wednesday night shows with him. We're just it's basically unfiltered. I mean, we tell you everything and anything. So that's really fun. And then I do articles, course history articles, recent form, all that kind of fun stuff where we're trying to gear people to making the right decisions, utilizing the data that we have, of course, to be able to do it. So, putting them in the right.
You've made some right decisions before, and you've clicked the right names. You've mentioned it just a few times. But at the same time, do you have like your one shining moment? What's besides, you just mentioned earlier you had the NFL hit that kind of got to the Brian Stewart hit, and then you kind of just went from there. I didn't want to bring this up, but you were trying to be a little bit transparent for a minute there, and then that was people didn't want to see the transparency. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, no, I'm an open book. I will talk literally about anything. It was a service I was trying to show people like, hey, listen, it's I'm going to win, I'm going to lose, and here's what it's going to be. And then some people are like, what? Why are you doing this? So what I did was simply, I have one article behind the paywall at Awesemo. Just one. Most of the other stuff is free that I provide. It's just all part of the service that we do at Awesemo. And the one article that's behind the paywall, I put all of my information in there. How much I enter, where I enter it, how much I win back. Just so that the people that are really genuinely interested in what I do, you can get the information.
Nice. I love that.
It can get a little scary. I mean, I was down like 35,000 in 1 year, and
Oh, I've seen these people, and I don't do that. I go play for $20. That's why I honestly, straight up, I was appreciative of what you were providing, honestly. And then people were getting mad at you, or like like they're jealous clearly of like whatever. I don't know, but at the same time, it's like the Twitter trolls. You've been dealing with some of these trolls. We both have for years. Being in this industry, putting your opinions out there, you got to deal with trolls all the time. What's the worst thing that you've had to deal with? Or what's a fun thing, maybe?
All right. I'll say the fun thing is somebody called me a mollusk, okay? A spray-tanned mollusk, okay? Here's where it came from. So you know how they provide the light? Like, it looks like you have lights like that you flick on and off for
Dude, I got this giant light.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, exactly. Okay,
I'm in my garage.
So, right. So I had two of those, and I forgot to turn my overhead light on, so it was just those, and it was terrible, and it looked like my lighting was awful, and it looked like I had a spray tan. I'm not gonna lie, it definitely looked like I did. And one viewer was like, "You're a spray tan mollusk," afterward, whatever.
Yeah, right.
That was the funniest one. I'll say, there have been some times where I've had some severe disagreements with people, but I've since been able to shake hands and make amends.
You, I will say, are one that does have thick skin and is playful at the same time. This is not a serious business we're in, and people are taking this shit very seriously.
Yeah, it's a fun business. I will say it's definitely a growing business. But it's a fun one, right? It's meant to try and help people and beat the odds. I mean, our Twitter circle, right, only makes up a certain percentage of the players that actually play this game. If we're better than the rest of the people, a lot of us will be successful in it, and that's kind of the goal.
Now, do you take offense to the Mouse-lin nickname?
All right, so I got Mickey above my head, right? I got Mickey on my shirt. Here's the thing: I went to Disney World when I was like 6 years old. Fell in love with it there.
Seriously?
But, yeah.
This is like when you were a kid? It wasn't like because you bought stock in Disney?
Well, that comes with it, right? So when I was 6, I learned about Disney World. Then Disney they first started, of course, with buying Marvel, right? And when they bought Marvel, I bought Disney stock because that was my favorite thing growing up. Everything that I owned was Marvel. And then second was Star Wars. Then they buy Star Wars.
Okay, so who's your favorite Marvel character? Just real quick.
Oh man, see.
No, too many.
Jeez, no. I don't want to take the popular one, but it was Spider-Man, and Tom Holland just plays the best Spider-Man. So it's. Dude,
I was Wolverine for all day. Everything.
Yeah, I can't wait to bring him into the MCU. Anyways, don't want to get too far off topic, but yeah, it's. So I don't take offense to it. I was one of the guys that named me Mouse-lin, told me that I needed to embrace it, and so I did.
It's funny because I personally think it's because you like the freaking mouse from Mickey Mouse or whatever. I don't know what it's from.
Sorcerer Mickey. Yeah, Sorcerer Mickey is the king.
Well, what's funny is that like half the people don't really know what me included. I don't know what half the battles of these people are having online. I don't even know what's going on. I'm like,
there's a lot that goes back and forth pretty quickly. Yeah.
Then, yeah, you're always involved. Talking about cruise ships and shit.
Oh, yeah, that was the latest one. Cruise ships. Cruise ships are. Listen, my parents love cruising. I don't know why. My parents are one of those people. They drag me on. It's just a vessel of sickness, but it's kind of fun sometimes.
Well, but that's what we like. Is just some fun-loving shit every once in a while, especially during quarantine. My God. Now, I tweeted at you about the DraftKings stock because you're a stock guy. You're a financial planner, or that's what you come from. I don't even know where your finance degree is, a master's in finance, Jason.
Yeah, I come from the world of finance, and I was a stockbroker when I first got out of college. I was assistant pro at a golf course when I first got out for a year, and then I'm like, okay, this is not enough money for me. So I went to be a stockbroker because, of course, my first love was stocks. And I got enough, and then I hated the SEC not allowing me to write about it because I enjoyed being able to present to people. And the problem is when you write about it and you're giving so-called advice in the writing, the Securities and Exchange Commission is like, hey, no, we have to see it first.
I see.
And I'm like, I don't want to go through all that. So I had enough of a following to just kind of take it private, and that's where the writing came in. Finally, this quarantine allowed me to take my free time where I'm not being a dad to write about stocks.
And
So,
to take it behind a paywall. Dude, you got a Patreon now. So
yeah, so I don't even know about the Patreon paywall. It was until I saw people doing it, but I'm like, you know what? Right now, I'm not looking for that. None of my stuff should be behind a paywall if it is.
Oh, I just know a Patreon. I don't really know anything. Yeah,
so it's all public, but I guess some people like what I do, and they've given a pledge. For me, so I did the whole website thing when I owned Tour Level, right? And I hated doing it. So Patreon was a way to create newsletters and not have to worry about taking the upkeep of a website and doing all that. And maybe, eventually if I get enough following, maybe there's something to charge, but I'm just interested in providing a free information. Can't be advice, right? I'm not legally allowed to say advice. It's just information.
So you've got a couple interests. You've got the DFS thing, the stocks thing. You got some cruise ship stuff and all that stuff.
Yeah. Unless you shorted them, it's all crossover.
Right. Well, what about your process, though? That's kind of what we've been asking people about. We're trying to get a hold of people that have experience, who play for a lot of money and that know what they're doing, and make sure we get from them. How many players are in your player pool? That's a huge question. Do you care about ownership? What are you doing each week? Is it the same thing every week? Give us a rundown of just your basic overall. I know you talk about almost every week on your pod with Ben about the same shit, but just for a quick rundown.
No, that stuff though, 40 to 50 guys right away. I'll give you rapid fire. 40 to 50 guys. It's above average from what I've learned in the industry. It's just because 25 of them will be like 1 or 2% or one lineup, two lineups. It's just
of 150. Are you doing? Yeah. Are you doing more than 150?
Yep. So I'm running it on the $5 on DraftKings that they do each week. That's 100K guaranteed. I'm running 150 lineups. The other contests, though, so the $400 is the max I've played this year. I haven't.
You don't do the 555.
Oh, well, whichever one it is, the 400 or the 500, they switch it every week, right? Sometimes it's the 300. So that level, yes. In years past, I've gone all the way to the Thunderdome, right, when things were going good. But I realized with the way I play, it can go south in a hurry. And I don't come from endless bankroll, right? This is, I live in a good house. Don't get me wrong. I'm not struggling by any means, but I don't like to play that level. It makes me sweat a little too much. The 500 is a perfect sweat for me. I'm cool with that. I'm comfortable there.
So find the right sweat. Finding the right sweat is important. And then when you find it and you get it and you love it, and it's the weekly process, golf's the best, right? You love fantasy golf. So
there is nothing better.
So then do you have a guy you're going 50% on as your most exposure to a guy? I mean, kind of explain, just you have 50 guys, you're talking about using 10 or 15 of them at 1 or 2 lineups, which is probably a great strategy with your you could almost go a little more than that even in terms of players.
I mean, you definitely could. There are weeks where I have upwards of 60. When I run my Fantasy Cruncher is the tool that I use for the MME. The single entry stuff, I always hand build that, because what I'm looking is in the $500 when you go into ownership, which was one of your questions, my total ownership of the lineup is going to be 80%. It's never going to be more than that in those single entry stuff, because I'm looking for leverage there. That's where I'm looking to either win or probably finish in last. It's honestly the way that I'm playing it. It's just the way that I always have, which is why you'll see me have Spieth in there a lot, because ownership matters. I know I'm going to get low ownership now on him. So for me, in those contests, in single entry, I am only looking at ownership purely because that's where you get the most leverage. Now, again, if you're doing 150 lineups, sure, you can cover a ton of guys, like you said. I'll have 50% in a weak field. I'll have 70% of the guy who I think I'm going to win. So more aggressive in weak fields. In fields like majors, 40% at most.
Okay. So you like to win or lose. I mean, we're not out here to nickel and dime ourselves, pay some rake.
Go big or go home. Yeah, definitely.
What about course history? Are you into course history, or are you kind of you'll take it but leave it?
All right, so it's funny that you bring up the squabbles that I get in from time to time, right? So I don't know if you know this, but I was one of the OGs of this battle. It was between me and Data Golf, and it was at the Sony Open when I was out in Hawaii. Yeah, so they put out an article. That was like, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, well, that's not what the pros say.
Right.
So,
or it matters, to a point. It definitely matters. Are you fucking kidding me?
I can assure you that some professional golfers play way better on a specific golf course than they do another one. That's a fact. That's whether you believe in it because it's its history or something else. That is, you can decide that. I don't really, I don't care.
My example is I play better at Dwan and Bloomington because I fucking play it all the time. Like, clearly, then, of course, I've never played in my life before. Like, think about you in your life.
So I used to live in Rhode Island. I used to live on a golf course. It was like 3,300 yards, 3,200 yards. It was a 9-holer. Used to go around twice. I'm like a single digit, 6 or 7. I haven't shot in the 60s that often. I shot in the 60s like 7 times at that course because I knew it so well. It's like my course history was unbelievable there. I was the club champion there, and I never even come close to the club champion anywhere else. It's correct. So yeah, it matters a little bit.
So then, now, are you you obviously do all the sports, right? You're gambling on all the sports, or you're doing DFS for all the sports?
Believe it or not, I just believe my edge is in golf, and I've tried other things. I've had the Millie Maker, the one that I told you about, is not even my best finish. I actually had a better finish. I came in 4th. In 2018, I came in 4th. Brandon Cooks and Jared Goff against the Saints. That game was just ridiculous. The Rams and Saints, I stacked it. It was a 4 o'clock game. Brandon Cooks drops 2 balls on the last drive of the game where I could have won the Millie. Yeah.
Oh, what?
I'll never roster him ever again. I never own him in any fantasy football leagues ever. No, nothing. Yeah, my wife was watching the game with me, so I got her involved in it. She hates him. She won't do it either.
Oh, my God. I hate him now, too. Fuck him.
So, yes, but lo and behold, that was just a one lineup. I used crowns to buy it at the time. Yeah, things got weird, right? I mean, that's awesome. So, no, just golf. Honestly, that's all I bet.
So none of this League of Legends crap we're seeing? Or?
I'll tell you what, if when my son starts going to like school and stuff and I get more time, because my wife's a pharmacist, so I watch him a lot of the time, maybe I'll get it to him.
You play both sites, FanDuel and DraftKings. Are you partial to one? Is one easier for golf? Golf's different scoring-wise on both sites, but what do you find easier, DraftKings or FanDuel?
If you're going for the big bucks, DraftKings is they offer like $2 million guaranteed every week versus FanDuel is like $300,000. However, if you're playing for fun and you want to roster your guys, you can do it every week on FanDuel. Their salary cap is a lot easier to manage. You can normally stack 3, even 4 studs if you want to. A lot of the times I love to go deep diving like Brandon Wu. He's played a couple of times and played pretty well. Colin Morikawa, before he got real hot, I started to use him when they were so cheap on FanDuel. So I like FanDuel's structure better, but the big bucks are on DraftKings.
I wanted to ask you about Showdown because I'm terrible at Showdown. I'm not very good at it. I barely win ever. Do you have any strategies that we should know about? Are you doing the Outlaw Tour?
Okay, so I can't not do the Outlaw Tour because their PR and their Twitter game is just
great.
It's been A+. So I play, I follow it. I've watched the Periscopes when they play. Joel Damon's playing, we're doing this on Monday, so he's playing tomorrow morning. And he had a great interview today, and he was talking about being the betting favorite. So I love all about it. However, my only good hit in Showdown was round 4, where there's the element of finishing points. So the more strategy involved, the better I do. Showdowns, to me, I haven't been that great in because I don't think there's a ton of strategy or a ton of edge because the stats that are available, everybody that plays knows them. So there's not that many edges to get. Only if you're putting 150 entries in because then you can cover Robert Streb, who had a terrible day putting but a great day on approaches, and guys that are doing 5 lineups probably aren't getting him in.
Right, and I've tried to do that. I've tried to watch, this guy had bad putting, and now he's got approaches. I've tried this dude's round 2 scoring is better. I've tried different ways, and I can't figure – so I think it's more like you look at me, and you go, haha, you fucking idiot trying to figure this out. I'm going to plug random ass people in and I'm going to have just as much of a chance, probably a better chance than you trying. And then you do what everyone else is doing is trying. Don't try. That maybe might be the right strategy.
You certainly, listen, quickly, you can look at ball striking, right? I understand, because that maybe tells if somebody's in form, okay? And it may be a way to differentiate between the top ends. How about that? You know, if
no, you're right. If you're going to look at anything for real, like,
if you're going to
the Awesemo.com guy gives the real answer. Like, sorry, you're dealing with guys who crack beers and click names. You're not.
Hey, I love it, man. I love it all about it. You finished that too. Well done. Yeah.
Hey, whatever. You know, we're making it up as we go along, as most people do.
What it's all about.
So, if you want to get more from you, how do we do that? You're on Awesemo, but it's free. So go there and find you, right?
All my articles except for that one, my last article on Wednesday, that's not free. All the pods that I do are free. Wednesday night, that show that I mentioned at the top of this with Ben Raza, that's on Wednesday nights. All that stuff is free. So come check it out. That's, again, what we're trying to do is the bubble we're in is not as big as the other part. So if we can educate and beat the other part, then a lot of us will be successful. I'm not saying everybody will. I'm not saying that there's no way that everybody will. But if we can help a lot along the way, that's our goal.
Where can we find you on social media? Are you on all the platforms? Are you on TikTok?
Yeah, dude, what is this all about? I think I got to get involved. I do most of my stuff honestly on Twitter at DFS Golfer 23. You can find all my Patreon stock stuff if you're interested. You want to learn about bear markets, you can go there. I just wrote a piece about bear markets, all that fun stuff. Yeah, I'm on Facebook, but I just post pictures about my kid. If you want me to be honest with you, just like it's my wife posting pictures and tagging me, and you're probably arguing with some guy about something ridiculous that I
totally. Yeah, don't follow him on Facebook. Just go to Twitter. That's where he's at. And if you want to, you can get more at the Patreon.
Yeah,
you can find him. Yes, please come back on. We're going to try to do these again. We're going to try to do these for the majors and everything else. Don't be a stranger, Jason.
I love it. I love my Minnesota guys. Shout out to you guys again.
Hey, yeah, we talked to Zach. He was on here.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, these guys are great. These guys are totally great. Well, Jack, thanks again for having me on, man. It was a lot of fun, dude.
Absolutely. See you later.